Right. Guess what? We're back. They haven't been able to keep us out no matter how hard they've tried.
And we are
So
live
we are live. We
right
are
here in
live
downtown Nevada, Iowa.
in the Sweet Dreams Mattress Center, which
Yes,
is our home now.
right here on Main Street, Nevada, Iowa. And the address is
1136,
1136 6th
1136
Street.
6th Street.
You can't miss it. It's at the southwest corner of Lincoln Way and 6th Street or Main Street.
Yeah, we got a beautiful view. It's a sunny day. Today the wind's from the north though.
Winds out of the north just a little bit. It's 87 degrees out there. And
Yeah.
I'm feeling a little bit of sorry for the kids down at the fairgrounds.
Well, fortunately, there are a lot of trees down there, so there's a
Yeah,
lot of shade.
yeah,
So, and they've got tents up and buildings and stuff like that. So it's not as bad as it could be.
not as bad as it
It's
could be.
not like the state fair, where it's basically a desert with stuff on it.
Yes. And
Uh,
greasy food. Don't forget
yeah,
that.
oh, that's the best part. I forget it. I go there for it.
Now, wait a minute. We have a doctor with us this morning who probably would say, forego a little bit of the greasy food, right? Maybe just a little bit.
Well, the state fair might not be the healthiest place to eat,
Yes.
but it's still okay to do once a year, I
Yes.
think,
Yeah.
and enjoy some of the
Yes.
offerings they have
Yeah.
there.
We're glad to have Dr. Art Check from Story County Medical with us this morning to talk to us about some exciting things that are happening out at the hospital. It used to be called Story County Hospital.
Yep.
For those of us that have been lifelong Nevada residents, we may have had surgeries, or there's probably a lot of kids walking around here that were born there. So we're so fortunate to have the facility here and an updated version of it now out on the southeast part of town. So welcome, Art. I'm glad to have you here.
Thank you guys. Appreciate it. Honor to be here with you guys and
Thank you.
be able to talk about the hospital a little bit.
Yeah. Give us a little history when you came, maybe what your educational background was, and
Sure.
let us know.
Sure. Yeah. I grew up over by Madrid, which is not too far from here, about a half hour away. I grew up on a farm near Madrid and ended up going to Augustana College in Illinois for my undergrad and started off pre-law, which lasted for about a week. And I decided I didn't like any of those classes, and so I ended up changing to pre-medicine and went from there. So I finished my bachelor's there, and then went to Des Moines University and um, completed medical school there, and then met my wife there, the other Dr. Check, Dr. Kelly Check, and
Yes.
so she's a podiatrist out at the clinic and hospital.
We're fortunate to have two Dr. Checks at Story County Medical.
Well, we think so. We're
Yeah.
we're happy to be there.
Yeah.
So we got married about halfway through med school, and then we moved to Indiana. We lived in Evansville for 3 years for residency, and I kind of wanted to come back to the area,
Sure.
be close to home. My folks are still on the farm there,
Yeah.
and so 2002 we moved to Nevada. Well, actually, we lived in rural Ames for 1 year,
Okay.
and then moved over here south of town, and we've been here for in about 2 weeks, it'll be 24 years I've been here, and
Wow.
so hard to believe that, but
Yeah.
That's good enough to call him an official lifelong resident of
We'll
Nevada.
call him a townie.
Yeah, we'll call
there
him
you
a
go.
townie.
There you
You
go.
can be a townie now.
Yeah.
Perfect. Perfect.
We do have to get a word in for our other advertiser and sponsor, Bricktown Bakery.
Yes.
Have you been to Bricktown yet?
I have absolutely.
Then we're preaching to the choir.
Yeah, we are.
But if you haven't been to the Bricktown Bakery yet, you need to.
And you can't miss the great big sign on the south side of the building that says
Huge.
bakery.
Yeah, it's right up the side of the building. But more importantly, what you can't miss are all the delicious food they have in there.
Yes.
Lots of great snacks for sure.
Yeah.
They make I don't know what you call it. It looks like a cream puff, but they cut it in half, and they've got the cream in there, and then they've got
Half a
sliced
puff.
strawberries, and then more cream, and then the lid. And you can't eat it in public because it's got powdered sugar on it. So, and you turn me loose with powdered sugar, and I look like Frosty. I look like Biden, Hunter Biden after a hot night. I'm white. I'm kidding. For those of you out there that just took offense at that, please don't. It's fine. It's in jest. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to offend anyone. But yeah, it's absolutely wonderful place to go. And Paula is just a doll, and she might take care of her. They got great staff. So by all means, if you get a chance, stop in there. Tell them we sent you, because that's how we earn our money. So
I love the chalkboard down there, by the way, because it
Mm.
changes for the during the seasons. Now I haven't been down there for a couple of days, so maybe they've got something up for Ragbray.
oh, I'll bet they do.
I wonder if they do.
It's coming up, or for the
Yeah,
fair maybe.
yeah, or for the fair. Either one.
So, and we're going to talk a little bit about the fair a little bit later in the broadcast. So we want to tell everybody what's going on and what's going on today, this afternoon, and tomorrow morning,
Yes,
because we'll be back on tomorrow at noon. So we're only getting half the day in. So we'll have to talk about this afternoon
this
and
afternoon
tomorrow
and
morning.
tomorrow morning. Yeah,
So also we've got Up the Lions Club. So the Lions Club, great organization. Our friend Paul Malson was part of it. Um, they're the ones that put up the flags all over town for the holidays. And again, $75. And you get a year basically of somebody coming out and taking care of your flag, putting it up, taking it out, making sure it's in good repair, not broken, got a light on it, and you do nothing except enjoy it during the federal holidays.
yeah, and support the Lions Club,
Yeah,
another good
absolutely.
service
Uh,
organization in Nevada.
and any other service organizations that are in
Yeah,
the area because they do a lot of goodwill, a
and I
lot of good
think there's
work.
still time for the peaches. By the way, I think there's
Okay, I was going to check with Paul. I didn't know.
yeah, I think there is
So,
still time for the peaches.
well, Art,
So
it's really good to have you.
it
Yeah,
is.
no, I
You know,
appreciate you guys having me.
it's always a thrill to get part of the medical community in because they touch everybody.
Yeah.
And I know Mike is, and I'm personally very familiar with needing the medical community. I've had both knees replaced and both hips replaced.
Mhm.
So as well as, and of course, it's not because I'm not in great shape, right? Uh, you know, uh, it's
Didn't we have this conversation yesterday about
yes,
yeah,
yes. Round
round
is a
is a
shape,
shape.
so
Yeah.
I'm in shape.
Yeah.
Just depends on what shape you're naming. But it's my doctor over in Ames at the McFarland Clinic told me, he says joint transplants are right up there with heart transplants. He says because they're giving people your age, and I'm 73.
Mhm.
So and for the last 2.5 years is when I've gotten my new knees and joints, but it's made an incredible difference. I get around well. I'm a martial artist, so that was pretty much ended for me until I got the new gear in. And
Mhm.
unfortunately, for the period that my knees were going bad, I got out of exercising and I didn't stop eating. So I put on 100 pounds. And now I'm working. I'm just at 3 months, and I'm almost 30 pounds down now from where I was. And I got to keep going for another 100 pounds if I want to do this
Baby
right.
steps.
Well,
So
it's
yeah,
any kind of progress is good progress,
Yeah.
and
yeah,
usually something that's sustainable is the most important thing. A lot of
yeah,
people do some crazy diets that they'll lose weight quickly, but they can't sustain the diet because it's too
yeah,
restrictive or too something. And so
yeah.
something that you can do that's sustainable is probably as important as anything.
And it has to become a habit or a way of life.
Yep, absolutely.
It's not something you can do then go walk away from.
Right.
And we're finding that out. My wife has lost 45 pounds now, and she feels better. She looks marvelous. So
She's listening, right?
I hope
By
so.
the way,
She,
you look marvelous.
honey, I said it. So,
Well, I know I'm kind of biased because, of course, Dr. Check happens to be my doc.
uh,
And I, I've mentioned this here a few times over the last couple of weeks, but I did have a heart attack. And I could not be more grateful for the staff and your follow up out here at Nevada Medical.
yeah,
I mean, at Story Medical. I want to call it Nevada because
Sure.
old habits are hard to break.
Sure.
But
Sure.
anyway, out here at Story Medical, the great thing is I walked into the ER and they didn't have any other customers at 4 o'clock in the morning. So I
imagine that.
was first in line,
Right.
and I just couldn't be more grateful for the work that they did, how uh, everything just went well. And that kind of leads us to, the involvement with Unity Point,
Right. Right.
and how good that's worked out with Story Medical.
Yeah. Yeah. So, Stewart Medical is a county hospital. It's owned by the county. We have elected board members that help make the rules and governance of the hospital. And we have what they call critical access status, which is a federal designation that you have to apply for. And that program was designed many years ago, kind of to help keep some of the smaller more rural hospitals afloat. You know, they basically, one of the things is we're reimbursed a little bit differently for taking care of Medicare patients, and it really helps. You know, in rural areas, there's higher Medicare
Higher
populations.
Medicare
We're
population.
taking care of a
Yeah.
lot of those folks, and so we don't just see them, but that allows us to do a lot of things that we're able to do by getting that different kind of reimbursement from them. And because of that designation, you also have to have an affiliation with either a larger hospital or sort of a parent, if you will. And and so we've been associated with Unity Point for, I'm forgetting exactly how many, over 10 years now. And we're, it's nice because it can be done different ways, but we have the affiliation, but we're not owned by them. So we're not a Unity Point hospital, but we're an affiliate of them.
So that gives you the staffing, like doctors on the weekends at the ER and specialists that come in to do surgery. And
We do. We have specialists that we're very fortunate. We have some really great specialists, and some of them are from Unity Point. Some of them actually come from other facilities too, and
okay,
other. Our surgeon actually comes up from Mercy. Interestingly, but he's been coming about the same amount of time I've been here. Dr. Dennis Whitmer, a great guy. He does a lot of scopes for us and general surgeries for us. We have ophthalmology. We have pain clinic. We have um, podiatry, of course, as I've mentioned. We have
doctor
cardiology.
check.
Yeah, we have cardiology. So we have a number of outpatient specialists that come, which is a great service to offer. Again, a lot of people don't want to or don't have the ability to travel. Even going to Ames sometimes is a challenge for
Yeah.
people. So the more services within reason that we can offer here and close to home, I think is just a fantastic benefit for the community and the surrounding area.
Yeah, Carla had her carpal tunnel done, and my sister Sue had her shoulder replacement with forgotten.
Dr. Kincaid.
Yes, Dr. Kincaid.
Yeah, from orthopedics, right? I didn't
Yeah,
mention ortho. So
yeah.
um, we've had some, you know, I mean, the changes, anybody who's been here at least as long as I have or longer, to see the changes that have happened with the hospital and the clinic, it's, I mean, really kind of astonishing.
It is, and it's a beautiful facility.
It
You
is.
know.
We're very lucky. We oftentimes get people in there for the first time and they comment about how nice the facility is.
Hmm.
They didn't know it was there. They didn't realize that that was available this close, you know. And so we felt very fortunate to just having a new building, an updated building, more exposure, um, more specialists that are coming. We have plain film X-ray. We have ultrasound 5 days a week. We have a CAT scanner that's in house full time. We just got a new MRI in house machine just a couple
Wow.
of months ago.
Okay,
That's really
that's
fantastic.
that's big news.
Yeah.
Yep, yep. You know, when I started here, you know, truth be told, I you know, most residencies are in large hospitals. They have to have a large patient base and specialists and access to a lot of things so you can learn from that. And then when you leave from there and come immediately to a small town with a small hospital and one that's on the older side, you know, you kind of look at things and you think, wow, is this what I want to do? You know,
Right.
and it is a different feel, but you learn how to practice differently. And I always knew I wanted to come back to a small area to practice. And we've been super happy here. Nevada's been a great fit for us. We've loved the community and you know, we've really felt ingrained. Our kids have gone to school here. We
Hmm.
still have one in high school, two have graduated. So we feel very fortunate that we landed here and you know we feel really, you know, it sounds kind of silly I suppose to say it, but I mean it's an honor really for healthcare providers to be able to be that person in people's lives when they're having a really bad moment in their life and you walk in the ER at 4 a.m. and you're
Yeah.
like, something's really wrong with me, you know. That feels pretty good to be able to be part of that team that takes care of that person and hopefully get them to a good outcome.
Yeah. Oh, I totally understand that. And when you look at it from your point of view of seeing the old hospital uptown, and you know, like I have mentioned before, you know, I had my tonsils taken out up there. When you look at how the surgical rooms and where they were in the old hospital, and how even with the new addition, it still felt kind of antiquated in
Yep.
in its own way.
Yep.
To go from that, you know, and I know that there's controversy about the net end result of the building going on. But aside from that, when you look at how the building was, how it was laid out, of course, I mean, it served people in the 50s and 60s,
Yep.
or trying to think before then, because the sanitarium burned down in, was it 1942 or three, something like that.
Mm.
So it did what it needed to do as far as the small Nevada population and rural Story County population. But boy, to transition from what it was to what we have,
Right.
it's pretty cool.
Well, and I suppose it's like or owning an old house.
Right.
It's when you decide, am I going to remodel this house
Yeah.
and still have an old house, or am I going to build new? And I think after there was conversation for lots of years, and it was not a knee jerk reaction. There was a lot of thought put into it, lots of meetings with the board and so on, where they kind of came to the conclusion of building the hospital and probably ultimately doing it in steps like they ended up doing, the hospital and then the clinic and then senior care, which has just been the new senior care building just a year and a half or so. I
Right.
think it's been open. And so, um, really great for the town and the surrounding area. I mean, I don't know. Not everybody realizes that. I think that when the further you get away from a bigger population center, it's getting harder and harder to have access to healthcare.
Yeah.
And it's so important to people to have that close by and have people who, most of the people who work out there are people who live relatively close by.
Mhm.
They're people who want to see the hospital do well.
Thrive.
They want to see it thrive.
Yeah.
They know when they go home at night, it's their community, it's their people that they're taking care of. And
Yeah.
so that means something to them.
It certainly does. Every interaction that I've had with any of your nursing staff or anything like that, we get off onto some family conversations and things like that. And you're 100% right. I mean, they're vested.
Yeah.
They really like being part of the Story medical community. And so, I mean, you serve people clear over to Marshalltown, Eastern Story County, and further south. So you've got a pretty wide area to draw from.
We do, yeah. I've seen the percentages, and I'm sorry I can't quote them to you right off the top of my head, but probably the majority are from Story County, but we pull from some from Hardin County,
Mhm.
Marshall County certainly, Jasper, Polk a little bit, and again, you don't want to pat yourself on the back too much, but it's always crazy to me the patients who I have that move away and they'll still drive to come see me.
Sure.
And sometimes considerable
Yeah.
Considerable
distances that
distances.
they'll come because they feel hopefully you develop that relationship and
Yeah.
that trust.
Yeah.
And so that's part of, I think, working in a smaller community is you get that ability to develop that kind of relationship that you may not in a larger
Well,
facility.
and it helps with your background growing up in a small rural Iowa community. You understand the value of relationships
Yeah.
and how those friendships can develop outside of business,
Yep.
which that's one of the things that makes Nevada beautiful,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and medicine has changed a lot. It's changing a lot, and not necessarily always for the better, in my opinion. And there's more pressure to see more people, to generate more revenue, to
Yep.
to keep the business afloat. And I feel like we've really tried hard to not get pulled into that too much. Some of it's impossible to avoid completely,
right?
but we kind of pride ourselves on being able to spend more time with people and get to know them and try to be as thorough and complete and not making people feel like they're running through a cattle chute, because
Yeah.
people do not appreciate that. They do not feel good about that, and it happens a lot.
Hmm.
And so I've never wanted to work in a place like that, and sometimes maybe those places can offer you more things than you could in a smaller place, but I personally have never had any desire to practice that way, and I think we're lucky to be able to work
Yeah.
where we are and practice the way that we do.
How
Yeah.
many beds do you have out at Story County
I believe there's
Medical Center?
18.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
And we do there's kind of different levels of care in a hospital, and there's observation, which is not technically considered inpatient, strangely enough, by Medicare standards, but people who might just be there for 48 hours or less
Right.
in the hospital, maybe overnight. There's acute stay, which is like a normal hospitalization, you might say, and we take care of things, pneumonia or heart failure, COPD, or things like that. Um, and then we offer skilled care as well, which is typically skilled care is something after a hospitalization where someone's maybe been acutely ill, or had a major surgery or illness, and they need time to recover and get stronger before they're able to go home. And so, and we interestingly get a lot of people from not just Nevada and not just Story County, but the surrounding area that come for skilled care. And
That says a lot.
it does.
Yeah.
And those are those are kind of fun because we get a lot of comments from those people about having no idea that our hospital's there
Hmm.
or what kind of services. And we get a lot of, I mean, fortunately, we get a lot of positive
Yeah.
comments from them because they're just so happy to have a place like that to, um, to get a little bit stronger and better so that they can go home ultimately.
And we have to understand it's relatively rare. Nevada has a population of about 7,000. Doesn't vary a lot, 6,000 to a little over 7,000 at a given time. To have a good facility and have dedicated physicians out there and specialists and the availability of having that care this close. You look at a lot of small towns and they don't have that level of care, or that the size of an organization, especially now you're getting in the C-scan equipment, the MRIs, the different X-ray systems. It's not really a common thing as
Right.
much as we'd like it to be.
Right.
So
And we're finding, excuse me, we're finding it a little difficult to recruit a replacement for.
Oh,
So we've had, Dr. Pilar was one of our longtime
yeah.
physicians who Mike knew well, and retired, retired about a year ago. And what we found is that, we still practice what I guess what I would call pretty traditional family medicine, where we cover the hospital and do hospital rounds. We cover the nursing home. We do clinic patients. We used to work the ER, but we don't really do that as much anymore. But I think that's not the way that we're seeing a lot of people coming out of school and training wanting.
Ah, okay.
They want maybe more of the 8 to 5 clinic job. They don't really want to be on call all night. They don't want to have to come in for an emergency. And so the face of family medicine is changing. And again, we've been fortunate up to this point to have people who still want to do that
Yeah.
and not have to parcel it off in many different pieces.
It's interesting that you kind of come at it that way, because I know that the family practice view of what the hospital was when I was growing up, going back to, and I know Doc Mordaunt took my tonsils out, but so he learned his skills in World War II and was kind of a gruff guy. I mean, there were times when I'd be wincing a little bit. And oh, shut up, Mike. You'll. But you could do that
Yeah.
because that's just kind of how it was. But I remember him coming, doing house calls when I was little, and I know that it's transitioned away from that, but still, um, it's maintaining the family practice system and values
Yeah.
that you're talking about. So yeah, I think that's just is just pretty cool. I'm grateful that the staff that you have is still willing to perform and participate like that.
Well, it's honestly, that's probably one of my favorite parts of the job
Yeah,
is like being able to do those different things and keeping those parts of my brain working and
right,
not forgetting all the things I was trained to do.
right.
But then, if you're taking care of the patient in just a clinic setting and then they're ill and then they end up in the hospital and you can see them there, I think that feels good to the patient
Yeah,
too, because there's that
continuity.
continuity.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And so that's been one of my favorite parts about being here is just getting to know people and then having that relationship with them. And that's what medicine should be about. I'm
Hmm.
not sure if it's always like that anymore. We get a lot of insurance and drug companies that get their hand in the pot, and that mixes things
yeah,
up a little bit. But
and unfortunately, medicine has become big business,
for sure,
and the insurance companies, of course, are looking out for their bottom dollar. And acceptable losses, which you hear in the military, acceptable losses are one thing in the military, but unfortunately, it's also true in insurance companies
yes,
that there is unfortunate slice of the population um, that don't get the care that we all wish they could.
And it is a, you know, it is a business. We understand that, you know, so we understand that even though from our perspective we might like
Oh yeah,
to just do it this way, we understand that it takes money and that always complicates
yeah.
things.
Yeah, yeah, it
So
does.
I think
So go ahead.
I was just going to say I think quality of care makes a big difference in who you're dealing with too.
Yeah.
If you're dealing with people, when I uh, we were down at Mercy and I had an ablation and a Watchman put in, and Mercy was very nice. I mean, they're very nice people, but we always got kind of feeling that we were putting somebody out, you know. And I came up here to have my knees done, and with McFarland and Mary Greeley, and they were so personable, so friendly, and at no point did we feel as if we were impinging on their off time or anything. Uh, it was just, and there are different levels of care that come with that. So and that's one of the reasons we stopped doing the Mercy thing. My primary care provider is still in Mercy because I like him, and when he retires, I'm out of there. So we'll bring it up here. But I do know that the difference in the way you walk away, or in my case, roll away if you're going in for knees. Uh, the difference when you roll away and how you feel about everything was how everybody treated you. If you were treated like, they really cared about you, if you were treated like a relative rather than, a paycheck. So, and that's huge. And I can see that in you and your personality.
Well, we that's certainly, I mean, that's kind of been always in the forefront of our thinking, or at least my thinking is that's how I want it to come across to my patients, is that I'm here for them. And yes, I understand we have to work with insurers. They pay the bills. We get that. I can't just You can't completely ignore what they say, but you know, your primary responsibility is still to the patient,
Right.
and trying to do your best. And sometimes you have to argue and fight a little bit with these places because you think what they're telling you is not acceptable.
Yeah.
And it's easy. There's lots of, I think, stuff has become more computerized, and there's algorithms, and it's just the person's symptoms just gets punched in, and it just splits out no. The answer is no. We don't want to pay for that.
Yeah.
And you're like, you're not sitting in the room with my patient,
Right.
seeing what's going on with them, right? And so we do, and our nurses, my goodness, you know, our nurses do tons of work on prior authorizations and sort of, you know, fighting, if you will, for medications or procedures or imaging studies to be able to get done, because our you know, the days of the physician just being able to say I want this done is long gone.
Yeah.
Hmm.
And so, you know, when there's another payer involved, we get that, but sometimes you have to fight for that a little bit to get what you think is right for your patient within reason, you
I
know.
could tell by the look on your face when you said that. You definitely are aware of the volume of work that the nursing staff does. You know, yeah.
Nurses make all the difference. I mean, you know, my first night of being on call when I was a resident, I was pretty nervous, you know, and having that new responsibility. And a third year resident said to me, "Art, you be nice to the nurses. You treat them with respect
Right.
because they'll make or break you."
Yeah, it
Oh
could
yeah.
break you.
And he was 100% correct. And you know, I mean, I haven't worked in another place for a long time, but I can tell you that we have some fantastic nurses
Yeah.
out there, and they, you know, they do a great job
Yeah.
of, you know, really making the patient the priority and really doing a lot of work that, uh, you know, no one ever really sees.
Hmm.
You know, spending lots of time on the computer, on the phone, trying to get this or that approved for
Mhm.
people, and that, you know, a good nurse makes a provider's life tremendously easier and better to let your day flow so you can
Yeah.
hopefully do the things that you need to do.
I can tell when I walk in there because, I recognize a lot of the nursing staff and we'll chat a little bit, but great bunch of people. And so what else is out there that you can also, I know Century 21 has some rehab
Yep.
stuff
Yep.
there.
Yep. 21st Century has a physical, occupational, and speech therapy.
Hmm.
They're a separate entity from Story County, but they
They're
have
part of it.
space there in the
Yeah.
building. They run a great business. You know, Steve Casbom's the owner. He's my neighbor, a good friend of mine, and they just but I don't send them patients because he's my friend. They do fantastic work, you know,
Nice.
and so I've been, I've really felt like they've been a big benefit for the community and the hospital by being
Yes, they
there.
have. They have.
So that's been great to have them there. Again, all the outpatient specialists that visit from surrounding areas that come in. Um, we are still working on some things. We recently, in the past year, we have um, two nurse practitioners that do psychiatry. We know that mental health is probably by far the most underserved branch of
Carla's
medicine.
probably paying attention to this and going, yeah,
I won't make any comments on anyone specific in this at this table, Mike, but but
mental health.
Yeah.
Okay, there we go.
Well, I've
but
had a couple interactions out there. Once I thought I might be having a heart attack. The squad picked me up here in town, and it's I was very pleased with everybody I came in contact with out there. It really was. There was a doctor out there, as a matter of fact. I liked his style, and yeah, I think when our doctor retires, I'd consider him. He's a big guy, and like me, we kind of looked at each other and said, "I get you." And
right.
so, but yeah, I mean, yeah, I mean, I haven't met anybody out there that I didn't immediately like,
Yeah.
so it's the personnel are very important and
And I
huge.
noticed speech therapy. So if people move in here from like Missouri or Arkansas, we can make them sound like they're from Iowa.
I
Is-
I don't feel like I should comment.
okay,
on
I'm
that.
kidding.
For people who don't
Oh,
know,
I'm sorry.
speech therapy we use. It sounds almost not a total misnomer, but a little bit where we use it particularly. Probably the most that we use it for is people who've had strokes,
Certainly. I didn't
difficulty.
mean to make
No, no,
fun.
no. I know difficulty swallowing, difficulty maybe aspirating, things like that. And so, um, and there can be speech also, of course. But yeah. So
Things that
sometimes I think speech therapy is not totally understood, which is fair by the public. But that's
it's a learning curve
yep,
for them all over again.
yep,
Yeah,
yep.
to
It
take the
is.
things that we do naturally find simple,
Yeah,
that they have to learn all over
yeah.
again. Yeah, I understand that.
You bet. You bet.
So what do you like to do in your off time? You can't be a doc 24/7, 52 weeks out of the year. You got to have a little you time.
Yeah, no, I knew that from a long time ago that I mean, I've known doctors that was what they did. You know,
Hmm.
they were a doctor and that was kind of their existence, and that's fine. But I just have a lot of other interests that I'm kind of an outdoors guy. Most of our vacations seem to revolve around national parks or kind of more wilderness areas. We've taken lots of trips to the Boundary Waters up in northern Minnesota, Quetico in Canada. Uh, might go several days without seeing anybody canoeing and
Kind of nice,
kayaking.
isn't it?
It is. It's nice to get away. Unfortunately, you might have seen in the news that's on fire right now, and
Yeah,
Yeah.
they've
yeah.
actually had the Boundary Waters temporarily closed. But
I don't understand that. I mean, I know Canada's had a lot of
yeah,
fires.
yeah, really dry up there, unfortunately. So, but yeah, so vacationing like that, getting to travel is always great. Getting to see different parts of the world and just experiencing how people are.
Yeah.
The U.S. is uh, we're 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 kind of geographically isolated, as a lot of people know. And when you get to travel abroad, you get to see how people do things differently,
Hmm.
and it's not always the same as it is here. So that's been a lot of fun. I like old farm machinery, tractors, and my wife would say junk probably, but some of it probably is kind of junky.
Yeah.
But
From a simpler time.
yeah, yeah, no, I
Yeah.
appreciate just the how it's progressed from knowing what we did when I was growing up on the
Yeah.
farm and looking what my forefathers would have used and how they must have thought that was great when they had it. And to me, it's looks like backbreaking, you know.
My grandpa's tractor that he had when I was um, a kid I was born in Algona. Both my grandparents lived up there. But my grandpa that was a retired veterinarian, still kept some cattle out in a little timber, and he had an old 8N Ford, and that was the first tractor that I got to putz around on, out in the timber. And yeah, you take a look at an 8N Ford, and then you look at what is today, and you go, oh my, how did the transition even happen?
Right, right. Yep, pretty astonishing
Yeah.
the changes that have occurred. So, yep, lots of things related to the outdoors, photography. I'd like to be better at it, but something I like to work on. Um, just seeing all the critters outside and
And
birds
Kelly
and
likes to do
animals.
that with you too.
Yep, yep.
So good
We
deal.
get to do those things, and our kids have enjoyed being able to travel with us. So it's been a favorite thing of ours just to be able to take time with them and
Yeah.
be away for a while. So.
Yeah. Have you had any, oh my goodness, medical moments while you've been out in the woods or had to help somebody or uh
Um, Not out, nothing too extravagant like on a trip that I can think of now. It's happened in a lot of other places
right.
unexpectedly. I was at one of my oldest boy ran track in college, and it was a super hot day, and all of a sudden over the PA system they said any medical professional please report to, and some guy had some kind of medical event, and collapsed in the sun, and
Like
so
85 degrees and 80% humidity in
yeah.
central Iowa.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I guess you always just are, I'm gonna just always try to be prepared
Yeah.
for something that happens. And I probably for the third or fourth time since I've been here, I was maybe the first or second person to come on a kind of a bad car accident
Mm,
just recently, and try to render some care while we're waiting for the paramedics to get there. So I guess when you have the training, you're just kind of
yep.
aware of it all the time,
Aware
that
of it
something
all. Yeah.
might pop up, and you want to be able to do what you can in that
Yeah.
moment.
Yeah.
The two guys that used to own Kirk Van Orsdale in Des Moines, Gary Kirk and Bill Van Orsdale, used to take hunting trips up to Canada, and they take safaris overseas and everything. And they always had a doctor in the group. They always took a doctor with them wherever they went on these trips, and it proved invaluable more than once.
Hmm.
Yeah, yeah,
So
mhm,
it's really nice to have professional skills out in what arguably is the wilderness.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
But
Kind of like, I don't know if this is left turn here, but did you see the picture of the guy that got flipped by
The
the
buffalo.
buffalo?
Buffalo,
Yeah,
Oh my word.
yeah,
And he was, older. I
he
don't know.
didn't look like a spring
No,
chicken.
he didn't
No,
look like a
it's
spring chicken. But boy, he sure flew through the air
yeah.
a
actually
ways.
he was moving pretty well before the buffalo hit him. I was
Yeah.
I was
Fear,
surprised.
fear will do a lot of
Yeah.
things too.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
But yeah, and the thing is, he's playing hide and seek in the brush line or the
Yeah.
tree line there, and that buffalo was torqued.
Yeah.
yeah.
Uh,
He was
he
he was upset about something, but
It was,
I do worry that people still. I don't know exactly how close he was when that all started, but people do get a little too
too
comfortable
close.
around wildlife, and
Yeah.
we forget that they're wild creatures, and
yeah.
it's unpredictable, and he better be. Uh, there used to be a guy that had a buffalo in a big pasture, kind of over by, kind of going towards Camp Matigua, kind of between
Hmm.
Boone and
Yeah.
Luther area, or
Yeah.
Boone and Ogden, somewhere over there. And I'd stop every once in a while, and just if I was in the area, and peek at him, and he had the big fence, and it had a sign on it, and it said, "Can you cross this field in 9 seconds? Because if you can't,
Yeah.
you shouldn't go in there because the buffalo can't."
Yeah.
So
Buffalo
I
can
mean,
do it in
they
eight.
can move a lot faster
Yeah.
than you realize. So
Yeah.
anyway,
For the their body defies the mass. What was the equation? Mass equals, I can't remember what it
Yeah.
was now, but their body defies the equation of mass because
Yeah.
boy, they sure can move.
yeah, exactly,
Yeah.
I had one run in with buffaloes. A friend of mine and I from Mason City, we decided we were going to move out to Fresno. So we get the families in the car and we go out, and he says, well, he's from Lawton, Oklahoma. So I said, oh, we got to go see the buffalo. I said, okay, I've got binoculars. I can do this. And they
There's
said,
no
okay,
way to
pull
get
into here,
closer.
drive over here. And there are several buffalo, and one of them is a large bull, and he's laying on the ground. And David says, come on. And of course, this is a good old boy from Oklahoma. He said, come on, you got to do this with us. Ladies, get the cameras ready. So my wife was back there with the camera, and she said she had me in frame with David and the buffalo, and the buffalo went, oh. And by the time she took the picture, I was back standing next to her over here, and I wasn't in it. And
probably wise.
he stood up, and I want nothing to do with it.
Yeah.
They're huge.
Yeah.
And as mentioned in this was, it was in May or June, and they go into rut, and it's
They
breeding season.
they got one thing on their mind.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and
Get a little feisty.
if you're
Yeah.
in their way, you might as well be in the way of Grand Central trains because
Mhm.
they'll run you right over or flip you in the
Or
air
flip you in
30
the air.
feet.
When we've been up in the Boundary Waters a few times, and you portage from one lake to another. There's like a trail, and you carry your canoe and your packs, and
That's a lot of work
it
too.
is a lot of. It's kind of a working
Yeah.
vacation.
Yeah.
And you pretty much have what you're going to have on the trip, and if you don't have it, you're out of luck. But there's been more than once where we've come off a trail and into a clearing or to the next lake. And one time there was a huge bull moose
I was just gonna
right
guess.
there, which
Yeah.
they're incredible creatures, amazing to see. But it does give you a little pause for
Yeah.
all of a sudden you're on top of it and you think, oh, I could be in trouble here.
Yeah.
And so been lucky a couple times, black bear, um, a little too close for comfort, but we've been lucky to.
I would almost say that if that were my situation, I'd be more afraid of the moose than the bear.
Black bear usually they're
They,
interested in your food,
yeah,
but they're less interested in coming after you than maybe a grizzly would be.
yeah,
The moose a little more unpredictable, and especially if there's if it's a mother with a young
cub.
one, then you better
Yeah.
look
Yeah.
out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
See, for me, I've got a prosthetic, and my old backpacking buddies, camping buddies, I was the good guy to have along because they didn't have to outrun the bear or moose or whatever. They just had to outrun me, and so
Right.
yeah.
yeah, I was the one with sucker stamped on the forehead.
It's amazing how humble you
Yeah,
become in the
yeah.
face of something like that.
Well, humans don't like to think of Darwinism,
No, no, they
but
don't.
but sometimes that's the reality. Is
Hmm.
Darwin was right.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. I mean, we've come up with some, our brains are higher functioning and larger than a lot of other creatures, I guess. Although sometimes you wonder about that, but
I know a lot of human beings I would argue with that on.
but we've come up with ways to get around that.
yes,
We've invented machines and
yeah,
medicines and techniques of doing things that otherwise, if we were a gazelle, the wolf might have already gotten us.
yeah,
Yeah.
But we've used our noggin to try to outthink
yes.
some of these things.
I've,
So
I've seen, videos of cars and things that have gotten in the way of wildlife
Hmm.
and, bumpers torn off and fenders torn off and elephants sitting on the front of,
Oh
literally
my,
sitting on the front of a car and you think, he knows what he's doing. That's
yeah,
not accidental.
right.
yeah,
That's planned. They're
Right.
smarter than you think. So but it's where we have to interface.
hmm,
It's not always in our favor, and that's a tough position for human beings to take.
Yeah.
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 It really is. It's hard to believe you're not the
You're not in charge.
yeah, exactly.
We were at a campsite one time, and I heard some noise in the brush, and I walked away from my tent, and probably from here to that black car, it was 8 or 10 feet away from me. A bear stood up and looked at me, and I thought, I'm not at the top of the food chain anymore.
Yeah.
So gives you a moment
yeah.
to think about life really quickly there. And
Tip your hat and say, "Have a nice day."
I saw a video once. You guys probably seen it where the hunter is up in his tree, and he's got a video camera, and he hears noise off to the side. He looks down. Here's a black bear coming up the
Coming
side of his
up the
tree,
tree.
and gets up to his stand and just looks at him, and you can see the wheel spinning, and I could feel the wheel spinning in that hunter. And the bear just kind of looks around, and he almost looked embarrassed and apologetic as he starts going back down the tree, saying, "Oh, never mind.
Sorry, sorry.
You're
Didn't
not
know-
edible."
Yeah, didn't know you were here.
It's funny though to watch.
Yeah.
Yeah. When you finally realize you're not in charge anymore, and you are the weak link
Yeah.
in the chain. So
So back to hospital stuff.
Yeah.
We kind of run around a little bit.
sure.
Uh, what's new on the forefront? You guys have a new, what'd you get?
The MRI.
The MRI. Yep,
Yep.
got the new MRI.
That's was new just this spring, and
Yeah.
they built a little addition for it, and that was great. I mean, that's been when I moved here, we didn't have a CAT scan machine. We didn't have ultrasound. We didn't have MRI. We had sometimes mobile units that would come and
Right, I remember that.
yeah.
Yeah.
And so we've been slowly able to, get our own of those, and that's been really, really, I think, just a fantastic thing for the community. Those diagnostic capabilities and imaging and labs and things like that have been really great to have at hand. And so that's probably, that's MRIs are not cheap, and we had some very, very nice donations by some local people and businesses that helped to be able to get that. And so we're always kind of looking to the future.
Hmm.
What um, you know Medicare and the insurers kind of are pushing us more and more towards outpatient things. We see that with joint replacements where people go home the next day
Oh
instead of
yeah.
staying in the hospital
Yeah.
for a week or two for rehab. So it's just keeping things like that in mind of what is the evolving face of medicine, and I think you know there is more outpatient oriented things and procedures that can be done. And if we can do things to prevent people from having to be in the hospital in the first place, that's
Prevention.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's always the name of the game. And you know, and we have a little trouble in our country with our diets and the foods that are out there and widely available and promoted, and that can we know our own habits can cause a
Yes.
lot of the issues that we have. And so it's just trying to, without offending people, trying to educate them of this is why. It's I'm not trying to offend you by saying you're overweight or by telling you that your cholesterol is too high, but the bottom line is the numbers say that if
This is what's going on.
problems become more evident, or more commonplace, the higher these numbers get. So we just have to. The education component's important, and trying to help people help themselves. It's medicine is pills are not the fix for everything, and we are well aware of that. It's part of it. It's part of the treatment. They probably do help us, at least some of us, to live longer, but we can't just rely on that to do all the work for us either.
Right. I even got told this morning when I was interviewing for my cardio rehab stuff, the very simple thing, and this is where I fall flat, said I don't drink enough water. And your heart needs, I mean, your body needs water. It's pretty obvious, but I don't drink enough water. So that's on my plan to get back into drinking more water. Just something simple like that,
Yeah.
can make a big
Yeah.
difference.
I've been really lucky now. Through most of my life, I've been very athletic. I'm a black belt. I've been teaching martial arts since 1973. I was very flexible, and I used to play racquetball at an A level 3 to 4 times a week. Hour and a half, 2 hours, time just flew by. And then my knees started going. And as I say, I stopped exercising but didn't stop eating. But fortunately for me, my chemicals are all good. My blood work and the labs and everything are good. So I've been really fortunate at that. But now I see the need to take the weight off. But I have friends that or their spouses that need knee replacement surgery or a hip replacement, and they're so reluctant to go and get it done. But I've got to be honest. I mean, as you said, I was home the next day.
Yeah.
And now for the knees, you go through some PT, some physical therapy. But I was off all the pain meds and driving by 11 days.
Hmm.
Both my knees, and uh, the trajectory was just amazing that it could heal that well. So, and of course with the hips, there's no PT. At least there wasn't for me. It was just doctor said you need to walk.
Mhm.
So as far as you can walk, as long as you can walk, and there are a few things to be careful of, but otherwise, do what your pain level allows you to do. And so I've been thrilled and amazed to get my life back. Where I can move around and I can, um, it's yeah,
It's the time we live in.
it
Yeah,
is,
it really
but
is.
it's amazing.
Yeah.
I was uh, with an orthopedist during my residency training for a few months, and I remember him saying, "Art, when you get out and practice, I don't want you sending me every guy with an arthritic knee for a joint replacement."
Yeah,
And I was kind of confused. I thought, okay, and basically his point was a lot of people have arthritis,
Hmm.
yeah,
and not everybody needs a new joint.
right.
But I think his point was that if it's begins to adversely affect you and your life to the point where you're not able to do the things that you need to be able to do, if you can't go for a walk with your spouse, or if you can't play catch with your grandkid, or
Yeah,
go to a game to enjoy it because that pain is limiting your mobility so much, then that's at least a consideration. I mean, getting a new joint's a big, it's a big deal.
Yeah.
And of course, not everybody has a great outcome. We're glad you did, and
Yeah.
that's certainly the goal, is to get you back to as functional of a human as you possibly can be.
Yeah. What moved me was not so much me, because you get used to being lazy. I mean, it's a behavior. You get used to being lazy. And what bothered me is Cindy and I love to travel, and I couldn't go somewhere, or we wanted to go to a restaurant, but I couldn't park next to the door, or we wanted to walk to the top of the arch at St. Louis, and there was no way. So my wife's quality of life
Was
was
affected.
going down with mine.
Yeah.
And I just thought, that's not right. That's not fair. So as much as I could live with the pain, uh, I'm now refusing to do things that are fairly simple. Go to other people's homes if I had to climb stairs or anything else. So I just got used to that. Getting unused to that, reforming my behavior, modifying my behavior, uh,
They have classes for
was
that, don't they?
crucial. They do. Uh,
Behavioral modification. There you
and
go.
but it's amazing what becomes habit and is purely, behavioral,
Yep.
rather than physical limitations.
So you mentioned too that the new senior housing that is on the, in addition to Story Medical, you, stop back and think how much that has changed in Nevada since I was a kid. Um, I can remember we called them rest homes. There was one that was across the street from the post office for many years. That house is gone. The house that was a rest home on K Avenue is still there. It's an apartment house. There was another one that was in the home of a family friend, and that house is gone. But senior housing in that under that name has changed quite a little bit, and I think it's pretty cool that again here I'm looking at how it was up at the old hospital.
Right.
I just went out and visited a friend of mine. My microphone's having
We need to
problems.
let Mike fix his
Yeah.
microphone
I
here.
just went out and visited a friend of mine, and I look around at the facility and I think, wow, I mean, it's phenomenal. So great
Yeah,
addition.
it is, and the newer style, which our senior care is built in, is sort of a more residential
Mm-hmm.
style, and so instead of feeling, um, like you're in a hospital or a
Right.
nursing home, it has a much more homey feel. There's three different wings, I guess you call them, with individual dining halls for each place and a big common room, which is really nice. They all have individual rooms. There's no double occupancy or anything like that anymore. So they have lots of programs that they bring in outside people and activities, and sometimes they'll go on like short trips outside the facility, to get out and be
Yeah.
able to see the world a little bit. So, I mean, yeah, far cry, I think, from what it.
They're still living.
Yep.
That's the point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was listening to there's a science show on public radio that I listen to sometimes, and they bring in different doctors and scientists and specialists to talk about various things, and there was a guy just recently who was talking about how sometimes we confuse living longer, wanting to live longer, with what we mean is we want to live well. We want to live as well as we can for as
Mm-hmm.
long as we can.
Mm-hmm.
So living for a long time isn't necessarily, at least in my mind, that's not what it's all about. That if we
Right.
can live as well as we can for as long as we can, that's,
Yeah.
I think, what most people's goal really is. And so
Yes.
if we can help people do that, then that's what we want. And so I think a place like that's great if someone's just not able to care for themselves any longer, and they still. I have a patient who's 106, and
Yeah.
Wow.
and she's great. I mean,
Yes.
That's excellent.
conversational, and
Yep.
so it's fantastic to see someone like that who's still doing really quite well for that many years.
Yeah.
Pretty amazing.
That's terrific.
Yeah.
We do have
Yeah.
to cut away for just a minute. We've got to get our ads
Got to
in.
get our ads in.
So we're located in the Sweet Dreams Mattress Center, also known as Sweet Dreams Studio.
Right here on Main Street in Nevada, looking out, beautiful window, and I can see some nice little white clouds. You guys, if you're not shopping in downtown Nevada today would be the day.
Yeah, it's a pretty day out there. The wind
Yeah.
has died down a little bit. Not that there wasn't a lot to begin with.
Yeah.
But here at Sweet Dreams Mattress Center, you can always have sweet dreams. I mean, Mary is just fabulous.
She works very hard to find the right thing for your sleep.
Yes. Now Mary's going to be on the show Monday. That's Mary's day. So we're going to have to write down a lot of nice things to say about her. Right,
Yeah.
Mary?
She
I'm
said,
talking about you.
yeah.
Oh, just good things.
Yeah.
Just good things. So you'll get to meet Mary, and we'll have a long conversation with her as well. But also, we want to thank Bricktown Hickory for being one of our sponsors and advertisers. So
Yeah.
we love you, Paula.
When you're in town for Story County Fair, I know there's food down at the fairgrounds, but on the way home, stop at the bakery and take home some goodies.
Oh yeah, if you take stuff home to your family,
They'll love you
you're going to be a
forever.
hero.
Yeah.
Just huge.
Or a
Huge.
Shiro too.
A Shiro?
Shiro. Is that right?
You're going to do that, are you?
Okay.
You're going to
Okay.
do that, huh? No. But those are two of our great sponsors, and we appreciate the daylights out of them. Without Mary, we wouldn't have a home yet.
That's right.
Well, we would have, but it wouldn't be here,
Wouldn't be here.
where we get an absolutely great picture windows, and we get to see you as you walk by. And even if you don't see us, we're still making fun of, I mean, seeing you as you
We're
go
making
by.
funny faces as you walk by, right?
Yeah. So, but we're back with Dr. Art Check from the Story County Medical Center, and create conversations that you get to know people, by just sitting down and having conversations with them. We really didn't have any pre-planned questions, but finding out what people do in their off time
Mm-hmm.
is important, I think, to get to know
Well,
their humanity.
and to further on, my experience, long term with uh, the hospital, what a great service it is to our community. This is something that shouldn't be overlooked. It's like you've mentioned that people have been there that didn't even know it was there.
Mhm.
I find that really surprising, but then again, you drive by something and you don't pay any attention,
Yeah.
which I guess. But if you're not familiar with Story Medical, you need to drive out, and it's on the southeast part of town. Go across 30 on 19th Street.
19th. Yep.
Yep, go across 30 on 19th Street, and you'll see the campus. I like that word, the campus on the right hand side. They've even got a place where helicopters can land. So it's
Yeah.
pretty cool.
Yeah.
It is.
This is a reason for getting out and getting around in your community. We owned the theater down here. We put on shows for 12 years and bring in shows from Branson, from all over the world, or all over the country and the world. And we still had people in town going, "Oh, there's a theater in
Yeah.
town,"
Yeah.
and you just want,
Yeah.
uh, get out and see what's in your town.
Yes.
Stop living, sequestered,
Yes.
and get out and see what's in your town, because Nevada's got some great attractions, great things to do.
Is there anything that you would like to tell our community? Something else. I'm kind of putting you on the hook here.
Yeah. No, I just, I guess in terms of my wife and I have been, again, felt very fortunate to be able to be here for as
Mhm.
long as we have. She's also pushing 24 years. She started just a hair after I did, but, we felt very lucky to be part of the community. It's kind of a little kind of quintessential small American town,
It is.
and we're luckier than many towns our size. Some of it is because of our proximity to Ames and Des Moines. There's enough access to some of the bigger places that people want, but you can still have small town living.
Hmm.
And yeah, I mean, I think supporting local businesses is always important.
Yes.
It's what keeps a town vibrant. It's what keeps it alive. And my mom, we had her and my dad come for Mother's Day a couple years when they have the Mother's Day at gatherings down the street, and my parents were blown away by. They're like, "There's no parking spots." She's like,
Yes.
"Most of your storefronts are full. They have business." They're like, "This is a nice little town," and so I think we were very, we were fortunate to land here and be surrounded by the people that we are, and we hope that in a small way, anyway, we've helped contribute to that by
Oh, I think
making it
definitely
a
you
better
have.
place.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. We're so grateful not only to have you here, but the facility as well. Yeah, I don't know what Nevada would be like without the hospital.
Well, it's interesting when the first few years of my career here, I had the opportunity to be in some of the meetings with the Nevada Economic Development
Hmm.
Board and Levon and Schultz
Oh yeah,
and
I loved her.
yeah, and she would say how many times potential employers or businesses that were looking at moving to the area, and one of their first questions was, "Do you have a
You have a
hospital? Do
hospital.
you have
Yeah.
access to that for their employees, you know, and
Yes.
their families?" And so it's a big deal to them. And I think a lot of people probably don't realize it unless they've lived in an area where they have to drive a half an hour or some places in the United States far further than that just to get to a primary care office, you know.
Yeah.
So to have that kind of accessibility at home is a pretty nice thing, and
It's a vital picture.
it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, it
Puzzle
is.
picture here.
Absolutely.
I got to tell you, just to piggyback on what you just said, we live on the north side of town. So to get from our house out to the hospital, maybe, 7 or 8 minutes under,
Mhm.
no traffic. And of course, that particular morning when I was having that, and I was impatient. Carla was letting the dogs out, and I finally I said, I've got to go, and I left. And I'm driving, and I'm halfway there, and she calls me up, and she says, "Well, where are you?" I said, "I got to get out of the hospital." "Well, how do you expect me?" I turned around and went back and got her, and then she drove. But the total time was still very insignificant.
Yeah.
Might have been more significant than I realized, maybe, but the
Right.
total time was insignificant.
Right.
So
Right. Yeah, the proximity is nice. The travel time is, it's close. Of course, I will put a plug in that if you're having chest pain, we'd recommend you call 911. Maybe not drive yourself,
maybe
but
not
Yeah,
drive.
that's just the doctor in me,
yeah,
Mike.
Yes,
I got to say that.
I
So
understand that.
that's a good point. Yeah.
Well, of course, you remember what Red Green says. I'm a man and I can change if I have to, I guess.
may not want to.
May not want to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Of course, you got to remember we're Iowans.
Yeah.
We stand out in the front yard and go, "Look, there's a tornado."
There's a tornado.
Yep, there is some of that.
it can't sneak up on me.
Right,
Oh,
right.
So yeah, that's. I drove myself, I'm sorry, Cindy drove me out actually to the hospital one time, and the paramedics came the other time. Nevada is doubly lucky because not only do we have an excellent hospital out here and staff, but we also, with our fire department, we have a great EMT and paramedic squads. Most of the police officers are also cross-trained
Oh yeah.
for EMTs and paramedics and in emergency medical.
and they work hand in hand. We're just
Yeah.
blessed.
Oh, very much so. No,
Yeah.
we've had great staff in all those departments here. I was the director for our ER and paramedics and first responders for a number of years, and great people, because a lot of them, of course, are volunteers too,
Mhm.
Mhm.
and they're just drop and go when they're needed, and that's
Yeah.
a pretty incredible thing to think about people doing
All
for
by
you.
itself. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
All by itself.
Yep.
And remember, these guys run into burning buildings. How smart could we be?
Yeah.
And I can do that. I used to teach fire service, so I can
Right.
say that. It's
Right.
like talking about your sister. You can, but nobody else should. So, but it's Nevada's lucky to have people like Dr. Archek, and we have just really a fabulous group of talented people in Nevada, not just in medicine, but in the arts and in the law enforcement, fire department, and the realtors. There's a really nice cross section of American.
Yeah.
You
All working
here.
together to make
Yeah.
this community what it is.
So every now and then it gets challenging. It's
Well, this show, I think, hopefully, is kind of focusing on those things and reminding people that, our lives are pretty fast paced. There's stuff coming at us constantly,
Yeah.
and hard to digest it all or know what to think about it all. And, realizing what you have right underneath your own nose is important. And a lot of times it's easy to ignore that or just forget about it. And with all the advertising and whatever else, so we'll just go to the big box store or because that seems like the easy thing to do, and we forget about all the people that are right here that do a great job for our town and county, and
Yeah.
keep it the way it is.
Perfect example. My son lives down in Tennessee, in Chattanooga, and I'm sure I'm not the only one. But when you go someplace, do you stop for a minute and you go, could I live here?
Sure.
You're looking at, wherever. And so we get down to Chattanooga and I look around and yeah, the mountains are nice and et cetera, but my word, from Nashville down to Chattanooga, there's just way more people than I'm used to being around, but you stop and you think about that. And having the hospital here is one of the key components that always brings me back that says, Nevada's okay. I'm
Yeah.
glad to be here. So
Now, we do need to take some time, as much as I've enjoyed this, we do need to take some time and talk about things that are going on with Story County
oh
Fair.
yeah, Story County Fair.
So, as Mike pointed out earlier, and we can read it from up here, rabbit hopping show.
You missed that.
We did
7:30.
wood carving. That was from 8 to 5 p.m. That's still going on. 9 a.m. to 8 p.m. exhibits open, Christie Hall in the community building. Then at 9 a.m. they had the horse show, so that's going to be over sadly. At 9:30 a.m. the rabbit show at the Dooland Pavilion. Then at 6 p.m. now we're getting more into the afternoonish. The barbecue funded by Key Corp.
Key Cooperative.
Barbecue.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, and 7:30
Are
the
those
Queen
burgers still
coronation.
on my diet for heart healthy? Yeah.
Is it are they quinoa burgers, Mike?
Quinoa. Oh my goodness. Okay.
The veggie patty,
The
maybe.
veggie patty. Too much salt though.
Tomorrow morning, the breeding, the Gilt show. Gilt. Horses?
Pigs.
Gilt. Pig? Pigs. I grew up in Iowa. You'd think I'd know that. Okay, and then they've got wood carving again tomorrow morning, 8 a.m. till 5 p.m. So there's wood carving apparently going on all day, and tomorrow as well. And from 9 a.m. to 8 p.m., they've got exhibits open again, Christie Hall Community, and then they've got a Western horse show at 9 a.m. So if you're getting up early, at 10 a.m. to 1, watermelon feed. I'm sorry, when I think of watermelons, I think of seeds. Watermelon feed provided by Farm Credit Services. I love watermelon.
There may be a seed spitting contest that coincides with that.
Mhm.
I was just going to mention that would be a great thing to
Depending
have.
upon whether or not we're using seedless watermelon.
Yeah, well, okay,
There
that
you go.
takes the fun out of it. And then at 10 a.m. also till 4 p.m. Story County Libraries program. I don't know what that is. Do you know anything about that?
I do not. I
Just-
don't.
I'm
Maybe
sure it's a good program. We'd love to know a little bit more about that. And then at 11 a.m., Clover Kid Great Gardeners Fest. There's a mouthful. By the community building. And I would guess Great Gardeners Fest must be.
Clover Kids are it's one of the groups of kids that is
Okay.
in 4-H.
Oh, okay. I
Yeah.
didn't know that either.
Yeah.
So I guess I'm not the townie I thought I was. So, and then there's a meat goat show. Now that meat, MEAT, as in eating meat.
Correct.
Yes.
Is there a lot of
Well,
goat eating going on that I don't?
here in Story County, there is, because there's a wide variety of ethnicities that still favor goat meat.
Okay.
Yeah.
And there are a few folks around that they raise specifically goats for meat.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I know. We go down to Des Moines and eat gyros
Mhm.
every now and then. Those were originally made with goat meat, weren't they? Or a form of goat meat and spiced in Greek.
Is it sheep?
I think it's goat.
Maybe it's goat.
Yeah.
Years ago.
Yeah. Or
In Scotland, there's a lot of sheep.
yeah.
Very frightened, I might add. Okay, and then dodgeball tournament. Oh, who remembers getting hit in the head with a dodgeball?
Oh man.
That sound, there's nothing like it in the world. Everybody remembers if you've been hit in the head once with a dodgeball, that pinging sound.
And you
that,
see stars for just a minute.
yeah, and you just never forget that. Oh, and then 8:30 tomorrow, there's an outdoor movie. Oh, it's outdoor movie. Okay.
Captain America.
Yes, yes. Cool. So tomorrow we'll talk more about the things that are happening tomorrow afternoon and things that are happening on Friday as well. But if you get a chance,
Go down to the fairgrounds.
yeah, or you can go to our page, the Nevada Iowa Live page, and we've got the schedules on the page, so you can go out there and check and see what's up on Saturdays and things like this. So
It's time, by the way. There's a little piece of information that I need to share. You know, there was a lady that fell off one of the tour boats, I guess, and they finally have they got her. Unfortunately, she didn't survive, but they do have her name.
Oh,
Yeah, and it's Eileen Dover. Okay, there we go. There's your dad joke
I
for
just
the
heard a
day.
collective moan from
Yeah,
all of Nevada.
yeah, that's all right. I was expecting it.
Well, at any rate, we've been very fortunate today to get Dr. Art Check from the Story County Medical Center, the hospital out there. And he's enlightened us to a lot of things they have going out there. Seriously, you know, it's a good place. The couple of times I've been out there, I was treated very well.
Mhm.
Everybody's very friendly. They're very professional. And even though nothing was seriously wrong with me, I would trust them if
Well,
I
that
had
you
to be
admit.
taken there. Well, yeah, they don't have the psych ward out there
Yeah.
that I actually need. So, but I can heal myself. There you go. So it's been great talking to him, and
It has
hopefully,
been. Thank
Yeah,
you so
yeah,
much for
I
yeah.
want
being.
to
Thanks
thank
for
you
I,
thanks
very
for
I
having
hope
us.
much,
you've had
guys.
a good time.
Yeah, no, it's been enjoyable. I
Yeah,
appreciate you guys
yeah.
having me
So,
on.
and we're looking for other people to interview all the time. So if you're out there, if you have a business, if you're part of the community, if you're doing something in the community that you think the community would like to hear about, know about, and get some firsthand information to meet these people rather than just hearing about them, this is the place.
Yeah.
So we would love to have you out. Now, what we're going to do, Art is unfamiliar with the way we do things. We're going to end this in our usual inimitable way.
It's
And
a multi-syllable word right there.
yes, inimitable. I probably pronounced it wrong for all I know. I don't care. Nobody out there knows what it is anyhow.
It's a
So
big word.
it's a yeah. But we normally walk ourselves out and we say, and you can do this with us.
Yeah.
So this is audience and interview participation. We tell everybody we want to wish you thank you for coming out, and thanks to Sweet Dreams Mattress Center for being our studio. So I'm Mike.
You are?
Couldn't get it past him. I thought he'd pick up on it and go with it. No, I'm Larry.
And I'm Art.
There we go. And we want to wish you guys
Sweet dreams.
Okay. Don't make me do it again. Uh,
Okay. Suddenly I thought I was having multi-personality issues. And